Oh, Kane, how did you know that I like mushroom risotto so much?
I just know you, man, and I wanted to do something nice to celebrate the podcast, how well it's going, and just to show my love and appreciation for my best friend.
Thank you, dude. This tastes so good.
Anytime, buddy, anytime. I'll teach you to fucking hate on Furiosa. Hope you enjoy poisonous mushrooms, mate.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And the fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome back to another episode of Marathon Movie. Your host, Kane.
And Rhys.
And today, we're chugging along, and we're at our second last entry as of this point in our PTA marathon with something a bit different compared to his last couple of entries. Something a bit more, I would like to say a bit more elegant, a bit more, definitely more serious in tone compared to the previous film. Today, we're talking about a little film called Phantom Thread. Rhys, I'm assuming you've seen this film before the marathon, correct?
Yes, I have seen this before, pre-PTA marathon, and I wasn't that into it first time that I ever watched it, but I was interested to jump back into it because, like myself being a little bit more changed, this is a little bit more of a mature PTA fairing here. So,
yeah, definitely.
So after going through like a drug-addled mess of inherent vice, and not mess in a bad way, it was going to be interesting to go to something a lot more sort of grounded and quaint, maybe is a good way to sort of put it.
Yeah, something a bit more quieter and a bit more methodical in a sense, the way that I kind of see it, honestly.
Yeah, oh, totally. It's also, this very much feels like a standout in that it's the only PTA movie not set in California. How weird is that?
Yeah, true. You definitely feel the difference in location. Obviously, with this being set in 1950s London, like completely just different vibe, different. You're in another world compared to like the typical what you've come to expect from like the worlds that PTA has created in these previous films. Most definitely.
Like, with me highlighting in the last episode that it seems like he likes to explore, that he has a lot of drug addict main protagonists. I think that he has this pattern of exploring, like, sort of degeneracy and, like, delinquent culture in, like, some sort of way. Where this could not be further from that. Like, this definitely being this really high fashion London, very fancy environment, and could not be sort of further from the world of something like Boogie Nights, or even Inherent Vice. This is
it's like night and day.
Exactly. This is like we're sort of following almost like the top 1%ers here, where we usually are following these quite like everyman sort of characters or circles.
Yeah, I've never seen this film before, but it was always like I was always aware of it, and truth be told, I was actually really, really excited to go into this because all I knew was that it was about like, you know, dressmaking, and it was also like a love story, and just there's something about the setting of like early 1900s to mid 1900s, like, you know, London. It's very fascinating because like I really like films that like that just take place in this specific time period of London. Like, you got the drab kind of grey colours and the you know, old world architecture of these beautiful old world buildings, and just kind of how like prim and proper like these films present themselves as. It's just something very fascinating to me that it feels very, almost like a comfort watch to me. Like, I remember watching something similar, like The King's Speech. That's like is it like one of the best movies of all time? No, but it has like a very it almost feels like a warm blanket in terms of the way that it's presented, and that's something I was very excited going into with Phantom Thread. And also, yeah, I heard nothing but good things about it, so was very keen to get into this, I will say.
It's quite sort of delicate and like elegant, this film, right? And so this is set in like the 1950s, actually, in London. And it almost feels like that it feels a little bit earlier, but it's also because a lot of this architecture would have been like heritage buildings built a long time ago.
Hundreds of years old, mate. Hundreds.
And is very like inspired. Like the actual world is very inspired by the sort of old-fashioned delicacy sort of thing. And before we go a little bit more into Phantom Thread, I want to give a bit of a PTA update, because between Inherent Vice and this, there's been quite a lot going on for PTA, because I really do think that Inherent Vice was the start of his I am doing projects for me and me alone.
Yeah, right.
And so what he did a lot of and picked back up between these two films is that he got back into the music scene with doing a big bender of music videos, including a lot of collaboration with Radiohead, doing a lot of theirs.
Yes, this I'm familiar with, yeah.
Doing some music videos for Joanna Newson, who I'm not sure if you know them or not. I'm not that familiar with their music, but
me neither.
They actually star in Inherent Vice as like one of the sort of hippie friends of Doc. A character named Sortilege, and a sort of relationship and artistic collaboration opened up here between him and the band Haim, which directing several of their music videos at this point, more than 10, and that obviously leads to some other collaborations later down the line.
Oh yes, and we'll get to them, yeah.
There's also a almost feature-length documentary that was made between these two films by PTA, which is called Junin. And this is like, I say close to a feature because it's around the sort of 50-minute mark. Right. And what it does is that it follows Johnny Greenwood and PTA going to India, where PTA essentially vlogs the experience of Johnny Greenwood composing and recording an album with a lot of traditional Indian singers and musicians. Okay. And I watched this today, and it's maybe not the most essential viewing in the world. Right. It is, when I was saying that Inherent Vice feels amateurish, Junin is very amateurish. It is PTA just has a camera with him and is just going along, recording what he's seeing. This is just PTA on holiday, essentially.
It sounds like PTA decided to try his hand at becoming a YouTuber for one project.
Exactly.
The way that you're describing it.
Exactly, and he essentially did, because I know that this movie is like available on Mubi, but I'm quite sure that Paul Thomas Anderson also put it on Vimeo for free, just like on his own personal Vimeo account.
Oh hell yeah, I love it! Fuck yeah!
So this is like a massive passion project sort of thing, and it feels like that he's in this era of just making passion projects, And very fitting then for this movie of Phantom Thread to follow a protagonist that is a little bit older than anyone that we're used to seeing in a PTA movie, but one that is a little bit obsessive but extremely passionate. And his name is Reynolds Woodcock, played by Daniel Day-Lewis once again.
What a name.
Is generally an obsessive, I would say.
That's an understatement, yeah.
In his work, in the sense of control over his life, order in every part of his life, and nothing could have prepared him properly for the love that he became exposed to in this film. And here's a bit of the trailer of Phantom Thread.
I feel as if I've been looking for you for a very long time. You look beautiful. Very beautiful. I have things I want to do. Things I simply cannot do without you.
Reynolds has made my dreams come true, and I have given him what he desires most in return. Every piece of me.
Her arrival has cast a very long shadow.
She's barely looked at you this evening, has she?
May I warn you of something? My brother can feel cursed. That love is doomed for him.
I don't like the fabric.
Maybe one day you'll change your taste.
Maybe I like my own taste.
Just enough to get you into trouble.
Perhaps I'm looking for trouble.
Stop. There is an air of quiet death in this house.
You're not cursed. You're loved by me. Stop playing this game.
What game? What precisely is the nature of my game?
All your rules and your clothes and all this money and everything is a game.
This was an ambush.
Stop.
Are you sent here to ruin my evening and possibly my entire life?
Stop it!
Okay, so Rhys, $1 million question is that, what do you think about Phantom Thread upon your most recent rewatch of this film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was mid? Tell us your thoughts.
So I watched it yesterday, so it's all fresh in my brain, and I wasn't loving it at the start. It took me a bit to fall into it.
Right,
and
okay.
Like the slow burn of a love that comes into your life, that is exactly what this film was to me. I got to around the halfway point, and at that figure, I started to adore this. Got really into it. I was fully locked in, and the dynamic between these two and the portrait of their romance between Mr. Woodcock and Alma is fantastic. Really reminded me of this film called The Piano Teacher, which is a Michael Haneke film, which is probably one of my favorite films in like my top 25 or something.
Ooh, nice.
And this whole film was just this gorgeous portrait, almost like that you're watching someone illustrate. Even though, and in the film, you see Daniel Day-Lewis illustrating all these beautiful dresses. That almost is a little bit of a symbol of how I see this movie. But how about you? Did you fall in love with it as well?
I will say that, like I said, very excited to go into this movie. A little, and like with every film that I'm hyped to go into, you know, there's always that worry in the back of my mind that maybe it might disappoint. But boy, howdy, did Phantom Thread not disappoint at all. I love this from beginning to end. I thought this was great.
Awesome.
I think all right, we'll get into this later because I want to know kind of why you weren't exactly sucked in at first, like during like the opening moments of this movie. But for me, one way I can describe this film is that it is mesmerizing. I am under when watching it, I was under a trance, just fully locked in. I think this is one of the most gorgeous films that PTA has directed, and especially from a music standpoint. The music is like some of the best I've heard in PTA's filmography. Like absolutely fucking beautiful, and the portrayal of this dynamic between Alma and Woodcock, masterfully done, and you know, and the depiction of his obsessive compulsive nature, his need to control. I thought that was all just so fucking captivating, honestly, man. I was like, again, it was very strange, like watching this right after Inherent Vice. Could not be more tonally and just tonally different, and like just different in all aspects: music, story, directorial style. But oh my days, like I could see my praises about this movie for quite a while because I had a great time with this.
Damn, this may be the first PTA that you enjoyed more than I did.
Ooh, okay. Oh,
that's great. I love to hear it. When Inherent Vice is a drug-fucked movie, this feels so sober. It feels so rich and it's such a little bit of like it's a very light film, I feel, as in it's very easy to fall into your brain and your heart, where it's no, like, as in with Inherent Vice being so alienating, this is intimate.
Yes. And definitely.
And night and day, exactly. How the fuck does Johnny Greenwood compose Inherent Vice and then this?
Hey, like we said in the previous episode, mate, he's a jack of all trades, multi-talented musician, I'll tell you what. Fucking hell.
That is unreal.
Oh my god. Just the piano in this film. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Then if you... Okay, surely when they go to Switzerland, are you just like fucking in in just awe of everything that you see, because that's, I think, when like the cinematography just takes like next step, and it's almost like the artistry of it all.
Well, yeah, but like for me, throughout the entire thing, I'm loving, just exploring this sprawling almost mansion in London, and when he first meets Alma, and when he goes to the countryside, these like how like kind of how the gloom and overcast weather that we're surrounding ourselves with in this 1950s London scenery is fucking just gorgeous. And of course, yes, when they go to Switzerland, that is just next level. Like just every shot of this movie, I'm just like, wow, that is something. That is something else. I'll tell you what, fucking hell.
Okay, then you definitely have to join the train of the deleted scenes, short film that was made from this, which is called For the Hungry Boy. And that short pretty much consists of just shots from Switzerland and Daniel Day-Lewis walking around the park with Alma, and it almost serves as like a cinematography showreel of this film.
I'm gonna need For the Hungry Boy, you said?
For the Hungry Boy. Goes for 5 minutes. It's on YouTube. It's gorgeous. It also just like injects some of the best shots from the actual film, especially the ones from like New Year's Eve and from like them driving the car through the countryside. Just beautiful things like that.
Yeah. I definitely. All right. Yeah. If there's one of those shorts that like I definitely need to go out of my way to watch, it's that one and the Adam Sandler one. Okay. Beautiful.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, the Adam Sandler couch one.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, that'll be a contrast. That will be a double billing that probably will be even more jarring than this and Inherent Vice.
Oh, can't wait. Can't fucking wait, mate.
Okay, so you... A lot of this film hinges on the strength of the character of Woodcock and the characters of Woodcock and Alma, right?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, fucking brilliant. Because, man, I like that in some of these romances, it very much feels like that PTA is illustrating a character with a particular neurodivergency or mental illness or something.
Yeah.
But it never has to be explicitly said, because it doesn't... Them being defined or labeled is not integral to their character. There doesn't need to be a scene where they say or reveal what they are. You just see it through this person being... don't know if he has OCD, but he is obsessive and compulsive to God's end.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I felt like where you felt like you could sort of relate to Barry in Punch Drunk Love.
I
felt like I could relate to Woodcock quite similarly.
Yes, I definitely can see. I see the vision. There's definitely little hints of Rhys Marxisms throughout Woodcock's character and the way he kind of presents himself and how very particular he is about his way of life.
Very particular, and that is definitely something that I believe that I am, and like this is a man that has very little room for love in his life because love is a volatile thing, and you can't sort of control and shove love in a box where his life is so orderly.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like a full itinerary of everything that he needs to do in a single day. Meanwhile, love is an uncontrollable force of nature. You can't tame it. You can't predict it. Like it just happens whether you try to stop it or not. It's just gonna happen, and it's just all over the place.
Completely. And Daniel not Daniel, sorry. And Woodcock is such a character that needs control over his life and almost every element of it. And I love this layer of these secrets that he sews into the garments that he makes. And how that, I believe, is such a symbol of this sense of control. It's even things that no one else will potentially even see or know of, but sewing a little message into the garment, he thinks embeds some sort of spirit from himself into that dress or whatever he's making. And I feel like that is such an integral microcosm of who he is that it's not other people... It's not him being able to project his control onto them. It's just him believing that he has this and that he can order the things inside of himself, which is
completely.
completely how I believe I feel about control in my own life. I could not be less interested in the control that I have over other people, but in the things that I care about in my mind and the compartments that they all belong in, I wish to have hierarchy over them. At least.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And like Alma having her own bedroom is such a symbol of this as well, right? This symbol of him not letting her properly in 100%.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, there's still, like, despite the fact that they, you get together, live together, he still has these walls built up. Like, there is clear as day that, like, he does, I thought of the perfect word for it. It's like he's in adoration of her. He is, like, spellbound by her. She is literally his muse for the dresses that he creates. But he still has those walls built up, both figuratively and even, literally with the separate bedrooms type, the kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally. And then the whole film is this conflict behind wanting that love and that passion, the uncontrollable, because that's the beauty of romance and love, right? Is the uncontrollable passion of it all. But then Cyril, who is like his sort of right-hand woman, is such a symbol of the orderly world that he has already made for himself.
Yeah.
And it's these two worlds pulling at him. And he doesn't know he doesn't know how to let the other one in and let it sort of take control of him.
Like, it's definitely sorry to interrupt, but it's definitely a way to look at it. It's almost like a battle between two opposing forces, the opposing forces of love and control per se.
Oh, totally, my man. Oh, 100%. I really love this. So the romance built up from the foundation, right, between Alma and Mr. Woodcock is just beautiful. It's that their meet cute. It's almost nice that at this point there's no baggage or complications put onto their romance as of yet. So it feels like the purest in that moment where they meet in the cafe. There are seeds sown in that scene of this sort of dynamic of control and power between the two, but they're romantic at this point. It is, and it's not overcomplicated, and it's still at a sweet sort of exchange.
Yeah, completely.
Did you feel the warmth and love already at this point?
I was literally just about to get into that. Yes, during their first meet cute. I'm just sitting there like almost like butterflies in my stomach, just being like, oh, this is really, like, just thinking to myself, this is really sweet. I really like this because I'm a sucker for like just good romance in films. Like I'm a sucker when they're done right. It's like, I love the feeling that that films of that ilk can give me, and their first meet cute, I think it's really sweet to watch. And during when they're having their kind of first conversations during their date, I think is really nice. Him talking about when he's describing the story about how he would sew a photo of his mother in his jacket pocket. I think that's just a really well done scene, and it's just filled with so much warmth during this portion of the movie, I feel.
Oh, totally. Also, I could be wrong here, but I think it's a lock of his mother's hair that he sews into his jacket.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it might have been both, but yeah, no, I get, no. But anyways, like, just that whole portion of the film, I think is just so fucking nice, honestly, man.
And the freaking performances from both of these actors, oh my god, freaking Daniel Day-Lewis could not be more different to Daniel from There Will Be Blood, right?
Completely, the only similarities that you can really maybe connect between Plainview and Woodcock is that they are both men vowing for control. They need that control, but what makes them different is that while Plainview is almost like at an elevated height of existence, he's almost like a otherworldly being almost. Meanwhile, with Woodcock, you get the sense that he has power, but also he's so much more understated and quiet and almost in certain aspects of the film I see him as a meek and almost like sniveling kind of character in a way in terms of both their personalities, you know what I mean? Especially like as the film carries on and we see him, we see a lot more of the downsides of his controlling nature, especially during the dinner scene with him and Alma.
I love this comparison actually between these two characters and their relationship with control, because you're right. So they're both sort of controlled by that desire for control, and it's such an integral foundational part of them. But then you see it in practice and it's so different, right? Because you're right that I think Daniel Plainview is this force, this almost like spirit that is not a real person, I don't think. And the control that they're looking for is a very material control that they want to rule, like ideally they want to rule the fucking world, and they ultimately become God in the end. Yeah. Where it's like, where Woodcock's control is far more interpersonal. It's far more just like, that as long as he feels like he has control over his life, he is satisfied. And he probably could not care less about how he sits in the world, more just how he sits in his own life.
Yeah, completely.
And it's so... And for Daniel Day-Lewis to take those characters and then become so different through just the nuance of their relationship with control and power is brilliant, right? You're right with how understated he is here, and he's almost a little bit meek because his external existence doesn't really matter all too much to him. Where he's such a booming presence as Daniel Plainview.
Yeah, completely. Like I really love that because like in this film, like when we first meet him, obviously we're already introduced to the fact that he's a man that he wants control in his life, and it's almost that we see his character kind of this mask degrade as the film goes on. We see him as like a man that vows for control, obviously, because we see during the first breakfast scene in this film the gap between him and his, I think, previous like wife or girlfriend or whatever it is, and we see it as like, oh, you're not. It's like, you're like, oh, this is just a man that's dedicated to his craft kind of thing, and that's just the way it is. But as the film goes on, we see that this need for control, this need and want for control, it's almost destructive in a way, because it's pushing him away from everything that he holds dear, his new love with Alma, and even just with his work, which then is a byproduct for him being pushed away almost from his work in a sense, because obviously he is letting these distractions affect him, and by reacting the way that he does in the film to Alma when she's eating loudly or being outspoken, it then pushes him away from his work and make him feel distracted and losing his touch, like I fell off kind of thing, like we see his character become more and more almost like that of a spoilt child when they don't get what they want, almost like I think the dinner scene and the dinner argument between him and Alma, I think that is like such a great scene, because this is like where we properly for the first time see him degrade to that of a spoiled child, really. And I think it's just great stuff. I think it's a great character study of this man that, despite him feeling comfortable with vying for control, it almost is a destructive force for him at the same time, honestly.
Totally. It highlights the incompatibility and irony, right, of people that are obsessive and compulsive, like myself, where it's like us trying to vie for control, but then that desire in itself is what is controlling us. Yeah. And actually, like, sort of makes us the most out of control. Like, because, of course, like, Woodcock would love to be able to get a balance in his life. And if he did have actual control over his life, then he would be able to get that balance there. He wouldn't have to sacrifice his career and his artistry for letting this person in. Yeah. But it's this belief and obsession with order that is actually not allowing him to have control over his life.
Completely, man.
And then that's where like these like childlike breakdowns come from. And that's like the sort of dark moments where I feel like that I sort of lose control of my own life come because of things like that, where I feel like that I am losing the ability to order things and also even choose to do things that I want to do, but I'm like, no, because it doesn't fit into my life or my schedule how I want it to, and then that's when I will get the closest to my Barry beating up a bathroom scenario, but that more will just happen in my brain, and like I will more act out in ways like how Woodcock is here, of just like childishly almost having outbursts of annoyance at oneself, arguing with myself instead of actually making a physically destructive thing. And I love the scene where it's Alma and Woodcock's first date, and when he first starts measuring her for her dress, and it's so romantic and intimate as they're doing this together, and you can see how Alma loves being his subject. Is all like her purpose becoming his muse. And you can see how much that she loves that, how much he is thriving from her presence. But then, did you notice in this scene how then when Cyril enters the room and it becomes so much colder.
Yes. Oh my God.
The music stops abruptly. It's like an ice and a chill has frozen over this room. The shots are far more open and wider than they were before, where it was far more closed in and intimate between the two sharing this space, where now it's almost becoming awkward and scientific, and like where it was these intimate touches with him measuring her. Now she's now she feels like an object and just like a mannequin in this room.
It feels a lot more. It's a lot more clinical, almost a lot more sterile and uncomfortable. And you can even see like the change in tone during this sequence of the film with just Alma's facial expressions. Obviously, starting off, we see she's just like spellbound and like just it feels almost like a sense of romantic euphoria. And then when Cyril enters the room, you can see like just her smile is just like is gone. She's trying to put on a brave face, but you can tell that she feels like you said, like an object, like a mannequin, a test subject, really. And,
totally.
It's so good, man. It's so well done. Holy fucking shit.
Is a testament to how fucking good Vicky Creeps is.
Oh my God. What else has she been in? Because, oh my God, she's incredible in this.
So the other film that I know her mainly from is M. Night Shyamalan's Old.
Oh, she's in Old?
She is awful in that.
Oh my God,
I've seen terrible.
I've seen clips of her in Old. That's her? Oh yeah, no, she's bad in that. What the fuck?
But also she would have had no direction on what her actual character is.
No. She got direction. She just got the M. Night Shyamalan style direction, which is just act not like a human, basically. I've seen the way that the characters talk in that movie, and I love it. I cannot wait to watch. Oh, dude, we should at some point do a Shyamalan marathon. I would love to do that.
I would love that so much, man. That would be sick.
Great. Oh my days, because I have such an adoration for Shyamalan, especially at his worst. Oh my days. But look, that's for a later day. Like Vicky Creeps. Creeps, is that how you pronounce it?
I think it's like, because it is I'm quite sure that she's German, I believe.
Right.
So it's like Creeps, but
Creeps?
like Creeps is how you would do it.
If we're pronouncing it wrong, Vicky, if you're listening to this, we're sorry. But we're trying our best here, dude. We're trying our best. All right.
You know what is shocking? What? Is that she was not nominated for an Oscar for this performance.
That is bullshit. Nah, that is complete absolute bullshit, man. Like,
insane.
Come on.
Insane. Fucking Leslie Manville was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Who plays Cyril.
I mean, she's good in it, but for her to get nominated and not Vicky Creeps, that's ridiculous. That's a crime.
It is strange. It almost is a little bit racist because she has an accent.
That's that. Honestly, you could make an argument. You could make an argument for that, man.
I reckon that I reckon they did.
Fucking Oscars made back at it again, which is this bullshit, ridiculous choices that they make. Unbelievable.
This European woman still not white enough.
Oh no, they're not American enough or British enough. They're not Aryan enough. Oh no.
Yeah. There's. Also, speaking of Oscars, Phantom Thread was nominated for 6 Oscars and won one of them. And you'll never guess what it won.
Let me guess. Did it win Best Actor?
No, it didn't.
Oh, it didn't? Okay, all right. Wait. Let me take a stab in the dark. Best Soundtrack. Best Original Score.
No, it was nominated. Both of those nominated. It's a way more obvious than you think, dude. It's fucking under your nose, man.
It's cinematography. No, costume design.
Costume design, that's it. There's a movie about costume design, won Best Costume Design.
Yeah,
who would have known?
Okay, I feel like an idiot for not immediately like jumping on that gun, but yeah, okay, that is so obvious, man. Oh my days, it should have won just so much more. I'm sorry, it should have won so much more.
The frillier the dresses, the more costume design Oscars. It's more likely it's going to win a costume design Oscar.
Oh yeah, completely. Especially if it's a film made by a big time director that takes place in an era with big frilly dresses. Something like did The Favourite win Best Costume Design at the Oscars?
Surely.
It had to.
Poor Things won Best Costume Design.
Oh yeah, as it should.
Frilly dresses.
But yeah, if you have films that require big frilly dresses, then and if you have enough of a reputation, you're guaranteed an Oscar. So if you want to win an award, just make a film that takes place anywhere between medieval times and the early 1900s, and you're all set. You're all set, guys.
The frills get the bills. That's what they say.
Ooh, like that. I like that a lot.
Never heard anyone say that ever, but that's what they say now. I really like that with this romance as well, is that it does feel very complicated in this sort of roller coaster of that they're doing so well and then they will do so poorly and then they'll do so well and so poorly, and it feels like an accurate representation of how complicated relationships can be, right?
Yeah.
Is that when there's such a struggle, there's such a struggle and almost like a bit of an incompatibility in these people, but the love is so strong that it keeps it going.
Yeah.
And you're locked into the roller coaster.
Yeah.
If the love wasn't strong enough, if you didn't feel the love, then you wouldn't be convinced enough to be strapped in for the ups and downs of this. And I really thought it was interesting at this point when it's around halfway through the film when they sort of go through their first big low point of their relationship, when it's Alma starting to notice a lot more of the distance from Mr. Woodcock. But then they get back again when there's this dress that they make and sell for this woman who takes the dress for granted.
Yeah.
And then they both together go to the woman's room and gets the dress from her, and Alma becomes this extension of Woodcock, I believe.
Yeah.
As in, she completely embodies the control that he is looking for and becomes an extension of his control over his life and his work and his art.
Yeah.
And that's when he almost embraces her the most, and you see him kiss her for the first time in this film.
That's the first time we ever see any form of real proper intimacy between the two. So I think that's really well done. Yeah.
And it's that. Because she fits into his life so neatly in that moment.
Yeah, completely.
And you can see that Alma wants nothing more than that. She does want to fit in there as much as possible, but she doesn't want to sacrifice herself to do that.
Yes.
She wants to fit in there in a way that there's a perfectly Alma-shaped hole in Woodcock's life.
Yeah,
and she's so sure that there is that in his life, but he is refusing and being too rigid to let that in. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, completely. And it really is I really like the use of roller coaster for their romantic dynamic. I was trying to say it slow because I was like, I might jumble that up since they sound the same kind of almost, but It's really just interesting to watch how it is presented. It almost like, as the film goes on, it's almost like it's a cycle almost like of high highs and low lows, almost like that of a real relationship. Although I hope that most couples don't poison the other when they do wrong by them or frustrate them. You know what I mean?
Don't yuck another couple's yum, Kane. True.
There's I shouldn't
consent.
Judge. I shouldn't judge.
No one's getting hurt. Well, people are getting hurt, but no one's dying. And,
yes, that is true. That is true.
You're just kink shaming by not embracing the mushroom drugging.
Look, the thing is with me is that I'm just saying, if I had a partner and we were having some hardships, I personally would feel a bit fucked over if my partner were to poison my food with toxic mushrooms. I just wouldn't stand for it personally. But obviously,
she's just not the right one for you then.
That's the thing, is that like, obviously everyone is different. Love is a huge spectrum kind of thing, and I shouldn't judge, and I apologize to the audience and to anyone that is actually into that kind of stuff. I apologize.
Man, yeah, with this mushroom poisoning, I love this mirror in the concept that so Alma is a cook, or she's like a hospitality worker.
Yeah.
That is what her sort of role is in their relationship and dynamic. And in the same way that the Woodcock sows in these little seeds of control and secrets in his artwork, in his craft, that is what Alma is doing here, using her craft of cooking to sow in seeds of control. So it's her doing the same thing and reclaiming a bit of the control of the relationship.
Yeah, it's definitely also just it's like almost a piece of Woodcock rubbing off onto her in a sense.
Yeah,
for that,
totally.
vying for that control, really, and which is especially evident in the final few minutes of the film when poisoning him. We'll get to that later, but yeah, it's very clear as day that there is a lot of that control that is rubbed off onto her. Yeah,
and it's so integral to Woodcock's character, right? That he wishes that he didn't have this. He wishes that he didn't have to be in control of everything, and almost wishes that he could surrender, but he can't.
Yeah.
And I love... Can I tell you about my favorite scene in the movie?
Yeah, do tell.
My favorite scene, and the one that just... nothing else existed in my life when this scene was playing. It's after Woodcock is poisoned for the first time, and he's very ill, and he's talking to the ghost of his mother in his bedroom.
Yes.
And he's because he's such a he's this great character that is simultaneously so sort of strong but vulnerable, because his strength is almost fake and controlled by the compulsions, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking to his mother and how much he misses her, and fuck, oh my god, I felt that.
It
made me mourn my mother who was not even dead yet. It was two describing words, two adjectives for this scene: beautiful but haunting. It is a haunting scene to watch. My fucking god. And he turns into a child. He turns into a little boy.
Yes.
And
oh my days.
Not literally, for people that haven't seen this, not literally, but his performance gets him there.
Oh, yes, completely.
So raw. And then Alma comes in the room and almost replaces her.
Yes.
The ghost of his mother disappears and allows sort of someone else to take care of him. And following that is then the first time that you hear Woodcock tell Alma that he loves her.
Yeah. Oh my fucking god. I'm happy you brought up that scene, and when Alma enters the room, the mother disappearing, because what I like, the way that I have been thinking about this film is that I like to think that a lot, maybe a reason as to why he is the way he is due to almost the trauma of Luke, because I'm pretty sure it's stated that he lost his mother at a fairly young age, and obviously that has had lasting effects on him, Cyril as well, but more so on him, and Alma not only is, like, you know, his muse, the apple of his eye, for lack of a better word, but even almost as a replacement mother figure in like a somewhat weird, in an almost like Oedipus kind of sense, really, especially during the ending of the film. It's even more apparent then, but there's definitely hints of a very Oedipus complex. There are definite elements of an Oedipus complex situation in this film, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's something that's built into a lot of attraction, right? It's...
Well, yeah, of course. But,
very specifically here, you're definitely right.
Yeah, very specific. Because obviously, you know, that is a thing that is, like, you know, that has been theorized when it comes to, you know, love and everything and presented in films, blah, 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 blah. But it's just something that, like, it's not stated outright. It's like there's little nuggets, little seeds that are, like, sprinkled and left up to the audience's interpretation. And that's like how the way I look at it, especially during the final couple of minutes of this film. And I was just like, wow, this is fucking great. What the hell, dude? Oh my god.
Well, it's with like Alma wants to take care of him and wants to like almost like nurse him like he is a child, because that's like, I think that's a very universal desire of love, right? That when you adore someone so much, you just want to take as much care of them as possible, and him not letting her do that is what's maintaining that barrier and that wall between them. And he, it's in this moment of when he's poisoned that he can allow himself to surrender to her, and that's what both of them sort of want. And this is where, like, you know, we're into the second half now, and I am fucking there. This is where I'm really liking the film, because even though that the first half is beautiful and you feel their love and there is nuance to it, like, this is where it starts to get really complicated and really morally and ethically complicated, that I don't think that the film tries to say what is right or what is wrong, but just what works for these people.
Yeah. Leaving it almost to the audience's interpretation of how they perceive this relationship, whether they believe that, you know, as the film ends, the audience is left to decide whether, like, is it a happy ending or is it a grim ending, per se, you know?
Yeah. Like with talking about, Woodcock wanting to be able to sort of let go and surrender, right? It's all about him being able to just let go. That's what all that I fucking want to do is be able to let go of things and just be chill about certain situations, right? This, I think, climaxes starting from the New Year's Eve scene, which they end up at the party at the start of Babylon out of nowhere, so that's good. Yeah, with elephants and giraffes going around. And gorgeous scene. Oh my god.
Bro,
probably one of the biggest
sort
of set piece spectacles of the entire movie.
Gorgeous, yeah. It's just a feast for the eyes.
Balloons fall as there's like the chaos going on amongst there, and Woodcock is sort of going through the crowd trying to find her. And there's this moment where, like, you know, when so Alma is like, fuck you, I'm going to this New Year's Eve party. Yeah. And she goes, and he's watching her from afar. Yeah. And like, what did you sort of get from? Did you have much of an observation of what he's thinking in this moment, what he's feeling, and how important this is for him?
I feel like there is a thought, but it's not coming to me. It's not coming to me. I want to hear your perspective.
What I saw in him staring at her from afar was this frustration in himself and jealousy for Alma being able to let go.
Yes, okay.
Because Alma is there dancing, having a great time as the clock is ticking down to midnight, and he's looking at her like, I wish that this could be me. I wish that I could dance with the person that I love as it turns into a new year. And then when all the balloons come, that shot is fucking gold, because he is shrouded sort of in darkness, separate to the celebrations and the balloons, and no one has excluded him from that other than himself.
Yes. Oh, okay. That is good. That is really fucking good. Yeah, it's almost like, it's almost, for lack of a better word, that there's almost a little bit of resentment towards Alma for, but yeah, being able to let go, as you said.
It's the same conflict that Barry has in a different way of why can't I be like a normal person?
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it shows the maturity of PTA in his writing, going from the conclusion in Punch Drunk Love is a far simpler one of just like that you can feel like a normal person through just falling in love with the right person.
Yeah.
Where this one is far more complicated and ethically ambiguous, right?
Yeah, completely.
And in that for this man to let his guard down, he needs a very particular relationship and understanding with this person.
Yeah. Completely.
And yeah, with the... Like, yeah, I want to hear what your take is on this ending, where he ultimately sort of knows that he is being poisoned, and only falls deeper in love with her, with her deciding to poison him and in him taking it.
Yeah, right. Initially I was kind of left like not knowing what to think and letting it sit with me for a while. And honestly, and maybe I'm not even wrong because obviously it's left up to interpretation, but I kind of think of this as almost like a grim ending of sorts. Is that to let his guard down? In order to let his guard down, he has to do this uber specific thing of, almost being weakened to that, to brought down to the level of that of a sickly child and have this love / motherly figure take care of him. And why I call it grim is that obviously earlier he's been poisoned and, he really starts to fall deeper and deeper in love with her and get married after, being taken care of by Alma. And the way that I interpret this ending is that it's almost that it's going to be a cycle that will continue until death, really, because obviously after they get married and things are good, they start to go kind of back to the way they were with Woodcock and his very particular ways coming back in full swing. And if that's anything to go by, then how I interpret it is that it's just going to continue long after this film has ended, honestly, I feel.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you that I think that the film suggests that it is continuing and the cycle, this is just the beginning of a cycle that becomes the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And I think that we know this because we see there's some flash forwards that we see they have a child together.
Yeah.
In that short film.
Are you sure those are flat? I mean, actually, to be fair, because I feel it's left up to interpretation. Because how I saw those scenes was, it's more what do you call it? Like a Alma romanticizing their future together. Like while watching it, I saw that as more of kind of what her hopes and wishes are for their future. I personally didn't think that those were flash forwards, but like what I love about this film is that a lot of it is left up to interpretation, which I think is great.
Okay, yeah, I love that because I definitely take that as an actual flash forward.
No, and that's awesome. That's what I love is that we both come out of this thinking differently, because obviously you sound like you have a different interpretation of this ending, obviously.
Yeah. Also, for The Hungry Boy, the short film, there's also more shots of them with a kid.
Yeah.
Which probably didn't need to be taken out of the film, but maybe it did take it out for the purpose of having a bit more ambiguity there.
Right, yeah. That makes sense.
So this is where we definitely contrast, is I think this is a very hopeful ending.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I think that Alma's motivation for doing this, you were saying, I don't know if this is before we started recording or early in the episode, that he was doing it because almost as like to get back at him, a little bit sort of spitefully doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where I think that she is 100% doing this for him.
Right.
For him, because she knows that he needs this. Because what this allows him to do, even though that it's painful and it's poisoning him and it's almost like killing him slowly, it's allowing him to let his guard down, which he does want.
Yeah.
And that's why he is like, he submits completely to it. And and the beauty and the romance in this. And what I think that this is sort of all about is that she knows his needs even more than he does. And he never knew that he needed this for his entire life.
Right.
And
I like that.
And did you have anything else that you would like to say about this movie before I wrap it up?
I feel like I've gotten pretty much everything I want to say about this film. I can't sing its praises enough, honestly, man. Like, I'm just really happy this lived up to the hype, and I think that it's just beautiful. It's just mesmerizing. Like, that's the best way I can describe this film. It's just mesmerizing, honestly. Much like how love can be. It is mesmerizing.
Beautiful. The with this ending, why I found it so almost hopeful in a weird way is how I found it so relatable, being quite obsessive and a little bit compulsive. There's like the other night, and it made me think about legitimately the other night on the 1st of October when it kicked over to a new month, and I flicked over to the next page on my calendar.
Yeah.
And it activated something in me that I got so manic, and I was I spent the entire night just doing admin of filling in my calendar and pretty much making plans for the entire month. Right. I booked movie tickets for things weeks in advance. I was messaging several different friends to book them in different weekends and do this and do that. And I was there filling in every single gap in my calendar for October because I saw so many empty squares.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was out of control until I could fill those boxes. But then the real out of control, right, was that compulsion of feeling like I had to fill in up that calendar and fill up every spot. And I eventually went to bed, and there were some gaps still left in my calendar because I was waiting for people to get back to me and things like that. And I couldn't get to sleep. And I kept on thinking, fuck, I would just wish that my brain could be a little bit more quiet right now because my brain was just being so loud and obsessing over this. And I was like, please, please, please be more quiet. And the reason that I bring this up is because what I think is so hopeful about this movie is that similar to sort of Barry, is that Woodcock feel like his brain is being so loud. And what this realization and at the end when he submits and surrenders to Alma and her poisoning is that he realizes that someone fully sees him. Someone fully sees him and knows what he needs. And in that, maybe the world can be a little bit more quiet. You can do a little bit less thinking when you find someone that can do a little bit of the thinking for you. And that is why I think this is a hopeful ending to Phantom Thread.
And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the ask.